Hello and welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keith in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV. In addition today, as always, we're on 88.1 WBFH The Biff, as well as Birmingham Area Municipal Access. Our TV channels, Comcast, Channel 15, and AT&T, Channel 99. And online, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link at the top of our page, or watch us in the small player at the top right of our homepage. Also on Facebook, facebook.com/civiccentertv15 and facebook.com/lakesfm. And as always, joining me from her home studio on the show today from Keego Harbor is Ronnie Dahl.
Tyler, that was one fast weekend.
It was. It went by very fast once again. A very fun weekend, though. Very nice weather outside. Really, really hot on Saturday and most of Sunday, but a beautiful weekend once again, and also once again, just way too quick. Can it be 3 days?
And so I will say I was so bummed on Saturday because I had other obligations, so I couldn't go out on the lake. The Cass Lake Sandbar was off the hook. It was just crazy packed. And so it was like, hey, let's take the raft out on Sunday because, you know, I'm a poor person, so I don't have a boat, I have a raft. Right, actually, I have multiple rafts. And so I was like, oh, let's do the 6-person raft. And then it was like, oh, it made thunderstorm. And so you wake up in the morning and you're looking and you're looking and you're looking. It's cloudy. You're like, okay, is it going to come? Is it going to come? So then as soon as I cancel it, the sun comes out, and then you're like, maybe we could still make it. But by then, you know, people made other plans. And so you were like, what time did the storms come? 5:30 last night.
Oh, yeah, of course. Right when you're trying to get out there, first time all weekend long, I finally have an opportunity to get outside in this beautiful weather, and that's when the storms come in. Yeah, yesterday was kind of different for me. I was outside yesterday with my brother for a couple hours. We played a few games of one-on-one basketball, and then I went over to my dad's and helped him with him and my brother with a little garden they've got going over there that my brother's been helping him with, and we got done with all that stuff right as the rain was coming in. So that was actually perfect timing there. And so on one side of town, perfect timing. On the other side of town, the worst possible timing.
And so with that, I will say, Tyler, I was lucky enough to make it downtown, well, or unlucky enough, depending on how you look at it. I went to Easter Market on Saturday morning, so I said, well, let me try to get there early. You know, at first, construction's a nightmare. So I try to avoid 75 by taking the lodge and then cutting through. So I was going to get off to be able to, you know, take the Davison and then cut through on, I think it's Oakland Boulevard, you know, to cut through the city and this, that, and the other. Well, that exit is closed because of construction. So then you have to get off downtown. And then by the time you like snake around, and I couldn't do my back way into the market, the traffic was a nightmare. And then you get there. I will say I ended up just buying 2 hanging baskets just because I made the trip down there. And I was like, I have to get something. But I went down to get, you know, some trees that I usually get from this one guy down there. And they weren't there this year. And so you're like disappointed. But then the big confusion was, do you wear a mask? Do you not wear a mask? Because before they had the fencing up and the signs, mask required, with the, you know, hand sanitizing stations. The fencing is down now. And the signs were not on the door as you enter the sheds, but there is still one that's like, you know, they're kind of randomly spaced throughout on the indoor sheds. And it was just so confusing, like, to mask, to not mask. I don't know if I should mask. I don't know if I should not mask. It's so confusing. And I would say probably about a good 80% of the people still wore their mask.
Yeah, I've been seeing that in a lot of places where the mask requirements, of course, are not in place, but everyone has the right to voluntarily wear one or not wear one at their will. Places like grocery stores like Kroger and Meijer around town, where I've seen some people deciding they're not going to wear their masks anymore per the allowances that are at those institutions, and many other people that are wearing their masks. And I think that's something that we're going to continue to see for a while here, as the confusion's still in place and people are like, okay, well, I don't know what the rules are, so I'm just going to zig instead of zag, and I'm going to wear my mask until somebody tells me, yeah, you don't have to do that, or until I'm at a point where I feel safe. And then on the other hand, you're going to have people that are saying, I'm going to not wear my masks. It's no longer required by the CDC for vaccinated people, and until someone tells me I have to wear it, I'm not going to wear it. So I think that confusion is going to play a role. I also think as we're starting to come out of this pandemic and more things are opening up in greater capacity, and people are getting outside and we have this nice weather, we're going to see a little bit of added frustration as there's going to be more crowding. There's going to be a lot more traffic as we get back into these regular things, especially in a very active season like late spring and throughout the summer here in Michigan. So I think everyone's going to have to practice a lot more patience as we're going forward, especially as we're coming out of this, because I think we've all been, at least those of us that have been out and about for work or for other obligations, have been very used to things being much lighter on the roads in particular and at these places. And as we get back to normal, that normal traffic and that normal congestion is definitely going to be back.
Yeah, I and with that, Tyler, too, I will say I was at McDonald's over the weekend because Starbucks near our house, right, they're opening later because they don't have enough employees. Well, Trixie Dixie, the Wonder Dog, loves her puppuccinos. And so I was like, oh, let me take her through McDonald's. But they have a sign that says, hey, just to let you know, or there are going to be delays. Please be nice. We are experiencing a shortage of employees, just like so many other businesses. So please be nice and be kind, because you're going to be waiting, which we know. We've been talking about it for a few weeks here on the show about some of the struggles of some of the businesses. But as more and more people get vaccinated and then they start getting back out and doing regular things, you can anticipate those lines are going to be even longer. I will say Home Depot over the weekend, it was, I'm not a patient person. Let's just say that, Tyler. And it was a very big test of my patience this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to stop by a Home Depot here locally over by my dad's over on Northwestern Highway as I was heading out of town yesterday, and I went by there and I saw the parking lot was pretty packed, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, this can wait till next weekend or later on in the week. I'm going to go home. It'll take me longer to wait here than it would to get all the way back, and I don't entirely need that one thing I'm going there for right now, so I'm heading home. I'm going to be the more patient thing for me to do is to just go home and deal with the with the traffic on the way home than to deal with the traffic in a Home Depot.
Hey, I don't know if you saw this latest headline. The CDC is going to be looking into heart inflammation and some of the young vaccine recipients, because we do know that really the path out of this pandemic centers around vaccination, but some teenagers and young adults who received the COVID-19 vaccines experience heart inflammation. That's according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the advisory group, by the way. They said they're recommending further study of this rare condition. So the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, in a statement, and by the way, this was dated May 17th, said it had looked into reports that a few young vaccine recipients, mostly adolescents and young adults, and predominantly male, developed the heart inflammation. So they're going to continue to look into this. So the condition often goes away, though, without complications, and can be caused by a variety of viruses, according to the CDC. But they are looking into, did the vaccine contribute to this issue? The CDC continues to monitor. Systems had not found more cases, though, than would be expected in the population. But members of the Committee on Vaccinations felt the healthcare providers should be made aware of the reports of the potential adverse event. The committee said in a statement, the CDC said the cases typically occurred within 4 days after receiving the mRNA vaccines. So for all the parents out there again, kind of what we saw with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, Tyler. We do know that vaccines have side effects. So they're just trying to figure out right now if this was contributed to the actual vaccine, or was this caused by something else? But right now, no pause like we saw with the J&J, but still an alert is going out.
Yeah, and this is something that has to just be something we understand is going to happen with these vaccines. They are relatively new vaccines. They're very new vaccines. We're continuing to learn more about them as time goes on, and as they are opened up to different age groups and different groups of people that they weren't previously opened up to, and they don't have a huge sample size on necessarily since the release, other than what they had back in their test group phases. They're going to learn more information as well. And at this point, what they're saying is kind of similar to what was ultimately the result from the Johnson & Johnson situation, ended up with a pause in distribution, is these are things to look out for. They're usually within this time period after getting the vaccine, and you and your doctor should be aware of that and be in conversation. And it's another thing for parents to have a conversation with their pediatrician, with their kid's pediatrician, about as they're deciding whether or not their kid should get the vaccine at this time against COVID-19.
Hey, I'm sure you saw the headline this weekend. It really popped yesterday. The governor is apologizing after a photo shows her at a bar violating her own order. So it emerged on social media Sunday, and showing the governor at a restaurant with 12 other people gathered around tables pushed together in violation of her health department's current order. So the May 15th order from the State Department of Health and Human Services says no more than 6 people can be seated together, and groups of patrons must be 6 feet apart. So the photo kind of made its way through social media yesterday. It showed the governor with at least 12 people. They were pushing the tables together. So the governor did release a quick statement. Throughout the pandemic, I've been committed to following public health protocols, Whitmer said. Yesterday, I went with friends, meaning Saturday, to a local restaurant. As more people arrived, the tables were pushed together. Because we were all vaccinated, we didn't stop to think about it. And retrospect, I should have thought about it. I am human. I made a mistake, and I apologize. The executive director, though, for the conservative Michigan Freedom Fund, blasted the Democratic governor, saying it's time for Whitmer to end her restrictions because she's not even following them. They make things political, every little misstep along the way. But at the end of the day, anytime you're an elected leader, especially the governor, in the middle of a pandemic, you walk out, anything you do in public, people are going to say something. So you have to follow your own orders. Yeah,
and we've seen this example be made with other governors and their individual orders throughout the pandemic. In California with Governor Newsom, that's come up a couple of times as he's gone out to various restaurants and not been entirely following, or very much not following, his own state orders regarding masks, or distancing, or whatever it may be. We've seen examples of this. She's seen examples of this throughout the pandemic. And to put yourself even in a position where this can be of question, and this gotcha situation can be there, is in and of itself questionable. So for the governor, yeah, great to apologize about it. Yes, we understand that you're human and mistakes are made, and some of these orders are confusing, even for the governor of the state of Michigan. That being said, you're in a leadership position. These are orders from your administration, from your departments that you oversee. If it's too confusing for you, it's probably too confusing for the public. But regardless, you need to be following these orders just like everybody else, whether they support you or they don't.
Yeah, I will say one thing she does get bonus points for here, Tyler, is she immediately came out and said, I made a mistake, which is what they should do, not the debacle that we saw with her going to Florida. And it was kind of like, drips and drabs of that whole debacle of her going to visit her father this past March. But the good thing, she did come out and say, hey, this is a mistake. But I will also say, if I was a member of that group, I would have said to her, hey, this doesn't look good.
Right.
especially in a restaurant. I will say restaurants, I'm not really a fan of Whitmer right now. No. I would have said to her, hey, this doesn't look good. We shouldn't do this. So you wonder too, who are the people around her? Someone needs to be guiding some of our politicians and our elected leaders. And we know they're human, but at the end of the day, you're also the face of making these mandates, and which have really impacted so many families. So, hey, but the good news though, today, so many of the businesses are allowed to resume in-person work.
Yes.
Businesses in Michigan are now able to have workers come back in buildings as of Monday after the state reached the vaccination benchmark of 55% of those with at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine 2 weeks ago. It's been about 14 months of remote work for most companies. Some people could be returning to the office for the first time today. However, many companies are easing back into things like downtown Detroit. Much of the office space owned by rocket companies will begin filling up as some employees will return to the office 2 or 3 days a week starting June 7th. We do know that MIOSHA is expected to give new guidance later this morning. The governor's going to be updating us on those new regulations at 11:30. But other companies like Ford and General Motors will have a gradual return to the office sometime in late June or July, with a structure that offers a much more flexibility with remote working. Some people have really enjoyed working from home. Other people, it's a little bit overwhelming for them, especially if they have small kids. But I do think I love that this is opening up that conversation of remote working. Maybe we do it 2 days, or you have teams A or team B, I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, and I think it's the way of the future. We've seen a lot of these businesses see that the productivity has, in some cases, been up for those that are working remotely and working from home, as they're working at their own pace, and they don't have the distractions that you sometimes have socially or otherwise while in the office space. But that being said, a lot of businesses are clamoring to have that in-person collaboration come back to the office, and even if it's in a partial manner, having their employees be back at their main offices instead of necessarily working at home in the future. What that looks like, again, it's still going to depend on what the new regulations and clarifications are from MIOSHA and from other organizations, and these businesses that are hesitant to return the day that these rules allowing office work in the state are back in effect is mostly because they want to see what does that look like, what rules do we still have to follow, and then tailor their plans individually, business to business, office to office, to those plans.
Hey, Tyler, I will say if I show up, I'll return what I think is after Memorial Day. So yes. If I show up in my slippers and bring a candle to light, I have one, it smells like the beach.
Ah, okay.
So I light my candle every day, and I'm still in my slippers, and I'm not in my pajama bottoms, so I did put on shorts.
Okay. Well, I think making the studio smell like the beach would be a welcome addition. We'll have to, of course, put the candle a little bit. We'll have to space it in the middle of the room. We got plenty of space in the middle of the room here for a candle, away from all the draping that is very much flammable. But other than that, I think making the studio smell like the beach will be a lot better than making it smell like an office building on a school campus.
Exactly. We're all for that. Hey, you can always catch the latest headlines. Go to civiccentertv.com, click on coronavirus. So we're going to take a quick break here on the MegaCast. We actually have a very busy show ahead. So let's jump into the show. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're excited to speak with State Senator Mallory McMorrow. She is with District 13. Get an update with her. And then also in the 10 o'clock hour, we'll be speaking with Camp Westminster, the Executive Director. So many kids looking so forward to going back to camp. All of that coming up here. And the 10 o'clock hour here on the MegaCast.
Finally, I just got my COVID-19 vaccine.
I registered with my local health department and they called me.
I got mine at the pharmacy and my neighbor got hers from the hospital.
I'm not a techie person, so I called the COVID hotline and they helped me schedule an appointment.
Get vaccinated with the first vaccine you can. Protect us all.
Learn more at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. COVID-19 has caused many families to fall behind on finances and on groceries, but you're not alone. You shouldn't have to worry about putting food on the table. My Bridges offers access to quality food and income assistance to help families across the state get the food support they need. It's easy to apply and easy to start shopping. Apply for services at michigan.gov/MIBridges. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. COVID-19 has caused many families to fall behind on finances and on groceries, but you're not alone. You shouldn't have to worry about putting food on the table. My Bridges offers access to quality food and income assistance to help families across the state get the food support they need. It's easy to apply and easy to start shopping. Apply for services at michigan.gov/MIBridges. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Always great to have you with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl. I'm here in my home studios. Mr. Tyler Keefe holding things down for us back there in West Bloomfield. It has been a very long 14 months for so many of us, but hope is on the horizon as we not only move into the warm summer months, but also with the vaccine. But trying to help us navigate all of this, our elected leaders. So joining us now on the Megacast, State Senator Mallory McMorrow. She represents District 13. Great to have you with us.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
We should mention too that you're serving your first term. How are you doing?
We're doing okay. I think nobody planned to serve in the middle of a pandemic. So the shift of our office over the past year has been just about really re-engaging in the service aspect of the job. My entire staff has been focused on helping people navigate unemployment, getting accurate information out to people, helping people find vaccines and food banks. And that's all work we're glad to do. It means some of our legislative priorities go to the back burner, and it's been a shift. And I also just gave birth to my first child in the middle of a pandemic. So it's been a year.
Oh my gosh, this is like a year that you'll remember forever. But just imagine the stories that you have. Did you have a boy or a girl?
A girl, Noah.
Well, congratulations on motherhood. But also, can I ask you on a personal level, what was it like for you to be pregnant during this time as well? Because you're not only an elected leader, you're a mom to be.
Yeah, it was very strange. And I learned that I am only the second person in Michigan history to give birth while serving in the Senate, the first being Stephanie Chang, who currently serves in Detroit. So only in the past few years have we had sitting members of the state Senate who are also young moms. So it's been an experience. I did my baby shower over Zoom. I didn't get to see my family. So there were challenges, but it was also nice to have the amount of time at home and have my husband here who hasn't been traveling for work for the past year. So there were definitely some upsides as well.
Yeah, and I think so much of that is trying to look at the silver lining. But I will say, I think it's so great to have you because you offer that unique voice going through this situation as a mom to be and now a new mother as well. But as we go forward, it does look like, fingers crossed, we're on the backside of this pandemic. But as a new mom, are you still nervous?
I am. And I think that, I'm somebody who's a history nerd. So when the pandemic broke out, I dug into all the research that Harvard had been doing around, the 1918 flu pandemic. And I think we should all kind of expect a bump in the road at some point and just be prepared for that. But I'm with you. I think the numbers look really encouraging. I think Oakland County reported 4 positive cases one day last week, which is incredible. So I'm very, very hopeful and looking forward to, I would say, a new normal, but definitely returning to some sense of normal.
So with that too, I know that just as someone like my niece just graduated college, she's looking for that first job. My brother-in-law runs a consulting business, and you're looking at these new people going into the workforce. One of the most important parts, like established people, it's okay for us to work from home. I was telling Tyler, I like it. I have a candle burning, I can make coffee in the middle. I'm in my slippers. But it's those people first starting out on the job that trying to really foster them and help them in that new position. That's kind of the link that is missing. Right. Do you, how's that been for you?
So it's interesting. I came into the legislature from the private sector. I owned my own consulting firm before running for office. And actually the last team that I managed was entirely remote. I'd never met them in person until we had a chili cook-off, and I traveled to Cincinnati to meet them. But for most of my job, it was not only remote workers from across the country, but around the world as well. So I think that's going to be incumbent on anybody who's in a management position to recognize that times have changed and being really intentional about how do you create office culture when it's not happenstance. It's not people who are just running into each other in an office, and hopefully we'll get back to some sort of a hybrid model. But I think that's on all of us who are in those positions. We have to create those moments and those opportunities, even if you are virtual, to get to know people, because it is important to give people just starting out or coming back into their careers that experience, so we're not hurting people who are starting off remotely.
State Senator Mallory McMorrow with us here on the Megacast. She represents District 13. You have such an interesting background. Obviously you're an engineering buff, right? Product design, but also media. So how do you take that private sector and try to merge it in the public sector? Because there is sometimes when you come from the private sector, you're like, boy, we would, private sector, you would have things done, right? There are deadlines.
Right.
Public sector, things don't move so fast.
Yeah, it is definitely an exercise in patience. And I came from, product design and development. So I'm used to a set timeline. And then there is something at the end that we all plan around, and there's kind of goals. But one of the things that I wanted to bring into this role is, when you're going through the process of product design or in media and advertising, you come up with 1,000 different solutions, and you collaborate and you figure out what works and what doesn't. And there's success and failure because you learn before you get to the right solution. And in the public space, I feel like oftentimes people are advocating for their one idea. And sometimes that pushes against people, and it's not the best solution. So that's one of the things that I've been hoping to bring into this position, and trying to be much more collaborative. Part of me wonders if we did a thought experiment where bills were introduced without anybody's names on them, what would pass and what wouldn't. Unfortunately, that's not how the system works. But I think there's a lot from my career in design and media. I use my background in media to change how we communicate with constituents. So we've been doing a virtual show just like this one throughout the entire pandemic, every single week that the Senate is in session, with live Q&A where people can ask me questions, and trying to make it more accessible, especially on the state level, because most people don't know who their state legislator is and don't care, frankly, and I'm okay with that. So how can we bring more people into this experience by making it accessible and real and maybe even fun sometimes?
And with that too, I will say, do you find that people are becoming more engaged? Because if anything, throughout the pandemic, hopefully the general public has come to realize just how important their elected leaders are throughout this pandemic, even on the super local level, from our, elected leaders on our school boards to our city council members and to people such as yourself. So are you finding more people are getting engaged? Or is it kind of the same people over and over?
No, I think it is. And there's pros and cons to that. So through our virtual coffee hours, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, at one point we had, almost 1,000 people participating live because everybody was at home. They weren't going to physical events. And it was a great way to engage with people. We've seen those numbers kind of dip down. So now we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we get back to some in-person events? Maybe we stream them live at the same time. How do we continue to connect with people in a real way? People are engaging with us, I think, more about state issues. But it's also, this is an incredibly politically divisive time. So we've seen Michigan become the center of national stories, and my office getting emails and phone calls from every single state in the country around the election. And that makes it incredibly challenging for us to get to our constituents. So it's been a positive and a negative, and we're just trying to figure out how we navigate forward to make sure we're connected to our constituents in a real way.
State Senator Mallory McMorrow with us here on the Megacast. She represents District 13, and you just kind of mentioned national news. We know President Biden was here last week. Exciting event to talk about the new electric Ford. As someone who has, a background in the automotive industry, what's your thoughts about that?
I think it was really exciting. I came from the auto industry, and I have been screaming this from the rooftops to whoever will listen. Michigan is the state that built the American auto industry. We build cars and trucks better than anybody else. But if we do not position ourselves to be on the forefront of electrification, autonomous vehicles, we're going to get left behind not only by states like California, but by countries like China, who are investing incredibly heavily in these spaces. So I'm excited that we have somebody in the White House who feels the same way that I do about this. I've been really pushing for electric vehicle infrastructure expansion in the state since I took office. Hopefully we're going to start to make movement there so that we not only build the vehicles here, but people can get from Detroit to the Upper Peninsula and not have concerns on whether or not they're going to make it.
It's great to hear you say that. I have like an electric smart car, and it only goes like 70 miles per charge. But I will say, it's all about having that app to know where you can charge your vehicle. And until we get to that point where we have charging stations that are just as readily available as a gas station, as a nation, we're not going to get there. So it's great to hear you say that. And I will say, too, one of the great things about having an electric vehicle, because I know you live somewhat in the area as well, if you go to Somerset, you can park right up front. You don't have to play for valet. They have a charging station right there. So at least pretend like you're going to plug in.
Yeah, well, and I drive an electric vehicle myself. I probably max it out on the charge because I drive to Lansing 3 times a week. So it's 86 miles there, 86 miles back. But it's nice to never have to go to a gas station. I plug it in at night. I wake up, it's like charging your cell phone. And once you get into the habit of doing that, it's really, really easy.
It is. And with that, too, Senator, we can ask you, I know that you're trying to bring back some of the vintage license plates.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Why? So, it's so funny. When I took office and coming from the space that I come from, I have a ton of friends who are in the auto space or auto enthusiasts. My husband wrote for Jalopnik for 7 years, was the editor-in-chief. So we're in the car nerd culture world space. And so many people reached out to me and said, you know what I would love? The blue plate back. Can we get the blue plate back? And it is crazy how excited people are about it. So we came up with a bill to bring back the blue plate and the black plate that was available starting in 79 for people who don't have historic vehicles. If you drive a new Mustang or a Camaro and you just want, kind of a nostalgic plate to put on your car, you can do that for an optional $100 fee, which would go straight into the transportation fund. So it's as simple as if you've got some extra cash, you want to celebrate some nostalgia with a nostalgic plate on your car, that's money to go help fix a few more potholes. As simple as that.
Well, it really is fascinating. I will say my husband has an historic plate. He has like a really old Fiat, which spends a lot of time in the garage and at the garage down the street getting repaired. But it looks cute when he does actually drive it. So with that too, again, we're speaking with State Senator Mallory McMurrow. She represents District 13. So great to have you with us. Anything maybe we didn't touch on that you want to add before we say goodbye?
I do just want to plug, I know I mentioned our virtual coffee hours. We do them every single week that the Senate is in session, Fridays at 1 p.m. on our Facebook page, and we would love to see more people join us.
And you know what? I love that as well, because really this is a great way for people to connect directly with our elected leaders. So please take advantage of it. And it's great that you're doing it. And I love your background in media as well as automotive. The two go together so well right here in our area.
Absolutely.
But also your representation of us. So we wish you the best of luck. And also congratulations again on your bundle of joy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great.
Are you getting any sleep?
We are. She is a fantastic sleeper. She switched over right around 6 weeks and started sleeping through the night. And being a mom, I panicked. I woke up in the middle of the night and thought something must be wrong. But she's doing great. She's healthy. She loves solid nighttime sleeper. So hopefully that stays intact.
Fingers crossed. Well, with that, we want to say thank you for your time. State Senator Mallory McMurrow, she represents District 13. And again, if you want to watch her coffee chat, you can do so Friday on her Facebook page. So thank you again for your time. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. A lot to get to here in the next hour.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and experiences connect through conversation, and it feels good.
This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together. Start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
Over a decade ago, the journey to a COVID vaccine began. Building upon research on other coronaviruses, scientists continued with months of research and development, 3 phases of clinical trials with tens of thousands of diverse volunteers, then peer review and authorization to deliver a safe and effective vaccine that will protect all of us. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
We want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us here on this Monday edition of the Megacast. For so many kids right now, their focus is on the summer and summer camp for those that are lucky enough to go. But what is camp going to look like this year? Joining us now on the Megacast, let's bring in Suzanne Bates. She's the Executive Director for Camp Westminster. Great to have you with us, Suzanne. How are you?
Thank you. Just fine. Excited about this summer.
Oh, so many of us are so excited about this summer. Tell us more about your camp and how are things going to be different this year?
Okay, Camp Westminster on Higgins Lake, this will be our 96th summer.
Wow.
And so we're a ministry of Westminster Church of Detroit. We're on the north shore of Higgins Lake, and the lake is still crystal clear and beautiful. The trees are the same. It will slightly be different because children will be grouped in pods, cohorts, just a smaller group with their same counselors, and they'll have dedicated equipment. But otherwise, we'll be just enjoying the lake. We'll be canoeing and kayaking, swimming, all the activities that people have enjoyed for generations.
I remember summer camp when I was growing up. Suzanne, were you able to have camp last summer?
Last summer, we had to take a hiatus from the normal camp, but we had a program called Stay and Play where families and children came up and they learned to swim still, and they still did the lighthouse climb, did archery. So it was slightly different. But it wasn't the regular program that we usually had, no.
Right. So it looks like it's returned somewhat to normal this year, but it's still kind of hard because we do know that, For adults, it's all about vaccination, but we also know kids under 12 can't be vaccinated right now. How did that play into the plans that you were making going forward for the summer?
Well, on our website, we have a video that looks like Swiss cheese. And basically, it's multiple protocols that we're using. So campers will be grouped in small pods. They will only be with the same counselors, and they'll have dedicated equipment. They'll keep their equipment all contained in a barrel. We have multiple cleaning protocols. So I think it will be just wonderful after this tumultuous year to be out in the fresh air. We'll prioritize outdoor activities, and we will be eating outside, so lots of picnics. But otherwise, it'll be vintage Camp Westminster.
That is so great. Suzanne Bates with us here on the Megacast. She's the Executive Director for Camp Westminster on Higgins Lake. And how long do the camps actually run?
Start on Sunday and end on Friday or Saturday, although for activities like rock climbing and learning to sail and just camp, we have a 2-week session in July 11th to 23rd.
So with that, Suzanne, if I can ask as well, it's a great time for the kids to get outdoors, but I feel like the kids are different from when we grew up. Technology is such a part of what they do. Will they be able to disconnect per se from the whole world while they're there at camp?
Every summer, I have campers and counselors that come up to me and just say, as though this is a big secret, they say, this was the best week of the year. This was the best summer of my life. And I think being able to connect personally with people is needed more than ever this summer after being in a virtual screen time. Being outside and being able to talk with people, I think, is more important than ever for children's social and emotional health.
So with that, Suzanne, we know that you're doing everything you can to be safe, but what happens if you do have an outbreak of COVID-19?
We're working we have a health officer, a full-time health officer who is monitoring the situation. We will be working very closely with our state licensing agent, with the Department of Community Health there. So we have protocols in place for every situation.
So what are the top favorites when it comes to some of the outdoor activities?
I think that we have things like a Gaga pit and things like 9 Square and just playing at the tetherball that are independent times for people just to have a good time together. But I would say the swimming on crystal clear Higgins Lake, we have an extensive waterfront that's very, very shallow, beautiful clear sand, canoeing, kayaking. Those are some of the activities that children just can't get enough of. We also anticipate this year something new. We're anticipating getting bicycles and scooters for the younger children. We're just looking forward to some new activities as well as traditional ones.
So Suzanne Bates with us here on the Megacast. She's the Executive Director of Camp Westminster. Suzanne, if I can ask, how are you guys looking right now on employees?
So we have people who are well-trained, who are coming back to help us. In the past, we've had counselors from Camp America. So as a result of not being able to come in at this point that we know of, we still have a few spots available. This working at camp it's at the core of college readiness. It's at the core of early career skills. It's a leadership opportunity that normally people say is just so valuable for all of their future career plans. So we have a few spots available, but for the most part, we have well-trained staff that will be there and supervising activities.
I'm like, hey, am I too old to still be a camp counselor?
I would, absolutely. And we have a lot of traditions at Camp Westminster, but I would say the greatest tradition that we have is that of giving back. We have so many alumni and people who are wanting to pass these opportunities down to future generations. So, for example, we have a STEAM program where our retired engineer is helping us develop activities for the children this summer that will help to inspire and engage the next generation of explorers.
Do you love that? Because I think for so many of us that were lucky enough to go to a sleepaway camp when we were little, we still remember those memories. Are you anticipating that camp's going to be booked up or registration? How is that going right now?
People are anxious after this tumultuous year for their children to be at camp. So everything is going well. We're not having as many because of the small pods, so we don't have as many spots as we normally would. So I would encourage people to register now because waiting, you might not be able to get in.
I will say I violated the rules, Suzanne, back when I went to summer camp, and I snuck in junk food, which is not a good thing if you're sleeping outdoors.
Well, we share this beautiful property with so many critters. That's the problem.
Critters like sweets too.
They do. I have never seen anything funnier than the biggest candy bar wrapper being dragged by a tiny little chipmunk. But we do have a camp store, so we encourage parents to send care packages that aren't particularly sweet oriented.
And with that, Suzanne, as well, how can people find out more information if maybe they're making some last minute plans and they want to send their kid? Because all of this is happening day by day, week by week. So, last minute plans are happening a lot right now.
Yes. So on our website at campwestminster.com, don't go to .org because that's in Georgia. Go to campwestminster.com and you can see the summer schedule. You can see our COVID plans. You can see all the activities, and you can sign up there at our secure website. So it's campwestminster.com. There's a schedule, and click on that and then register. So registration is online. We also are happy to help. We have at our telephone number 313-341-8969, and we'll register for you or answer any questions. So we also have a Facebook page, Instagram, so we're available on social media. However you want to ask questions, please do.
Well, summer camp is so fun. I'm really sitting here going, I want to ask my husband, can I go to summer camp?
Well, you can come to stay and play. You can come up and stay there, and we have all kinds of activities, or you don't have to do anything. You can sit on the porch and rock.
That's always good as well. Well, Suzanne, we so appreciate your time today. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your interview. Bye.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, we'll be talking cars. That's next here on the Megacast.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. The thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
In times like these, we have to believe in each other.
And we believe that you'll do the right thing.
When it comes to stopping the spread of COVID.
Follow the 3 W's.
Wear a mask.
Wash your hands.
Watch your distance. And when it's your turn to get the vaccine, take your shot.
It all comes down to the golden rule.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
We're so close, Michigan.
We can do this together.
you for taking time out of your busy Monday to be with us here on the Megacast. As a reminder, you can always catch us Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Channel 15 if you have Comcast, and 99 on AT&T. You can also listen to us on the radio if you're out driving around, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. And if that doesn't work for you, you can also watch us on our social media Facebook page. We are live streaming today's edition of the show on the Facebook page. For so many of us here in Michigan, we know that we have put the world on wheels, but so many people don't really understand or grasp the stories behind how that happened. And to make sure those stories are still being told is the MotorCities National Heritage Area. Joining us now on the show, let's bring in Shawn Pomaville-Size. She's the Executive Director for the MotorCities National Heritage Area. Shawn, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ronnie. I'm delighted to be here.
What's so exciting is you guys are actually at a press event. Tell us what's going on.
We're super excited today. We're reaching a long sought after goal, and that's to install and dedicate highway signs around the MotorCities National Heritage Area, such as you can see behind me. These great familiar brown and white signs, and these carry the National Park Service logo and tell people that they are entering the MotorCities National Heritage Area.
So with that, Shawn, too, for people that aren't familiar with the organization, give us more of a background about your mission and your purpose.
So our mission is to promote and preserve our unique auto heritage that we have here in Southeast and Central Michigan. And we do that via a National Heritage Area. It's designated by Congress because it tells a story of national importance. And it's associated with the National Park Service because it combines our natural resources, our historic resources, our cultural resources, which all fall under the job description of the National Park Service. So this was dedicated by Congress in 1998. And what we do is act as an umbrella organization and a convener of over 1,000 auto heritage events and destinations, museums, car collections, all of those together. We link them, and we want people to know there's someplace special, and that's what the signs do, we hope. We hope it inspires in visitors and residents alike this pride in our auto heritage, which is also a big part of our continuing lives, and we'll.
I love the one line from your website. It says the stories, trying to tell the stories about how tinkerers became titans and how auto and labor helped build the middle class while transforming the manufacturing industry worldwide. And I think sometimes for us that live here in Metro Detroit, we take those stories for granted, but they've helped shape and change the entire globe.
Right. It's a story of national significance, even international significance, like you say, Ronnie. So it's important to lift it up, to take pride in it. It has tremendous economic impact, particularly for tourism, $490 million a year. And it creates jobs, about 5,500 per year in tourism, just because tinkerers did become titans and the UAW worked so hard to have a $5 a day, a 5-day work week, all of those benefits that we take for granted. And so it is really special and unique to us here.
So with that, we know that last year was a bit of a unique year with the Woodward Dream Cruise. We typically get people from all over the world that come here to Metro Detroit to take advantage of that. And the official event was put on pause. So are you excited about this year going forward?
Yes, it's overwhelming to have things starting to slowly open up. We're inching our way out of this pandemic, carefully, of course, but things are looking better and brighter all of the time. So we're excited that the cruises are coming back, including the Dream Cruise, activities out at the M1 Raceway Concourse in Pontiac, the Grand Prix on Belle Isle. So it's time for us to gather again. It's time for us to enjoy the fact that we live in a very special place, and it brings a lot of joy to families.
We're joined right now, Shawn Pomaville-Size. She's the Executive Director for the MotorCities National Heritage Area. I know that you're at the Ford Piquette Plant right now in Detroit because you guys have a press event going on there to talk about this initiative. How excited, though, were you that President Biden came here and to help launch the big announcement with Ford and the electric vehicle? Because it's really kind of the next phase in the automotive industry.
Yes, it is. And that's the exciting thing. We're one of the very few heritage areas in the country. And by the way, there's only 55 of them, and they all tell a different story, and ours is auto. But to have President Biden here was, like the biggest cheerleader there is out there, the football player carrying the ball, slamming on the gas and driving his electric vehicle around the test track was pretty amazing. So it was wonderful for us.
So I will take, Shawn, everyone here on the show knows I have a little smart car, a fully electric little smart car. It's my second car. It's really the dog's car. But every time I drive that car, people wave. It's like, it just makes them smile because they're like, what is she driving? And it makes people happy. And then when I have them drive it, every single person is so surprised. And
Ronnie,
it really, automobiles tell a story, right? They connect us.
They do. And they tell the story, I think, of innovation. So just as at the turn of the 20th century, we were building mechanical, gasoline-powered, and definitely electric, even back then, engines, and all the subsequent design and art that came out of that, and all the subsequent development of the middle class that came out of that. And here we are at the turn of the next century. Well, I guess we're already 20 years into it, but here we are again, cutting edge, again, something entirely new, something entirely transformative to society that has the potential to do great things.
So what are your thoughts on self-driving cars?
I'm sorry?
What are your thoughts on self-driving cars?
Well,
how is that going to play into the history?
I'm not quite there yet. But I would like to have transportation be easier no matter what, so I think that if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. I'm one of these Jetson era girls, though I'd rather have a little, something that goes a little hovercraft over the ground and take me from place to place. I guess that would be self-driving too.
Especially for all of us that have had to navigate some of the roadways and the byways here in Metro Detroit during construction season. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Terrific. That would be, yes.
Shawn Pomaville-Size, Executive Director for the MotorCities and National Heritage Area. It's so great to have you with us. Hey, where can people see these signs? Where are they going to be placed?
Well, the place to go, first of all, is www.motorcities.org. And motorcities.org will tell you all about the activities, the events, the destinations. Get on there and get a passport book. If any of you go visit the national parks, you know what a passport book is. And we have our own that's configured just to the National Heritage Area. It's got about 30 organizations spread throughout Southeast and Central Michigan, from Hickory Corners to Lansing to Dearborn to Monroe to Detroit, everything in between. And you can get a passport stamp, and we encourage you to go out and have fun this summer.
It's so great. Thank you for preserving these stories, because they really are not only the fabric of our community and what's put us on the map here in Michigan, but really help shape the entire automotive industry. And it's great that we have people and organizations such as yours to help preserve those stories. It's important to document our history.
Oh, yes, it is. It's really important. We have a lot to learn from our history.
Shawn, anything maybe I didn't ask that you want to add before we let you go? I know you have a pretty packed schedule there today.
Yes, well, just go out and enjoy, and realize when you drive by one of those signs that says entering the MotorCities National Heritage Area that you're in someplace very important.
That is so great. Well, we so appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. Still a lot to get to here in the second hour of the show on this Monday. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Great to have you with us on the Megacast. As a reminder, you're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. And for those that maybe have missed previous episodes of the Megacast, we realize you can't hang out with us 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday, but you can catch previous episodes of the show. Just go to civiccentertv.com, click on Megacast, or hit the on-demand section if you just have enough time to tune into the individual interviews. Tyler, I'm excited. Memorial Day weekend is coming up. And as Dave Lorenz likes to say, we're bringing the fun back in 2021.
Yes, we are. It's going to be a fun summer over here, and we got a lot of different events coming back and a lot of different traditions that'll be coming back as well that we obviously missed over the last 14 months or so, definitely last summer. And hey, if we have any indication so far with what spring's been like, I think we're in for another beautiful summer too.
Let's hope so. And one of the great events coming up, the Beats and Barbecue. With us now, let's bring in Brandon Corder. He's the founder of the event that's going to be taking place in Flint. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
I will say, what's it been like for you to plan this?
I'll say at least about a month and a half ago, we didn't know if it was possible for it to happen. So it was like a lot of back and forth, just trying to figure out if it was even going to be possible. And then probably about a good month or so ago, we decided to go ahead with it. And everything, it just started working in our favor, pretty much. Everything started lifting up one week by 1 week.
Fingers crossed it continues that way. So
yes.
With us too, tell us more. Is it, it's basically going to be a festival. Is it a one-day festival?
Yeah, so basically we started in 2019, which we planned to do the second one, obviously, last year. But the goal was always to turn it into a full weekend. And that's what we done this year. So it turned into a Friday, Saturday, Sunday ordeal. So Friday we'll be doing just a sort of a networking sort of situation at Zolo, downtown Flint, starting at 8 p.m. Saturday we'll continue with our traditional beats and brunch that we do downtown at 501 Bar and Grill. Then we have a comedy show lined up that'll start at 5 p.m. in Brush Park, followed by Sunday, which is the main event, Beats and Barbecue, which takes place from 1 to 7, followed by an after event that starts at 8 o'clock. So it's a full weekend.
Oh, that's great, because I think on the website I just saw the one day, so I'm excited to hear that you've expanded it. And Brandon, too, can I ask you, what's it been like behind the scenes trying to book the vendors and the musicians to take part in this, not knowing if it's going to happen or not?
Yeah, it's been crazy, but the demand is so high because people are like, they're trying to get out. They're trying to, everybody hasn't done anything. So it's like, oh my God, we have to get on. It's been crazy because we had to like turn away, a lot of people, and a lot of people are sending in, their applications and everything, and we had to turn away a lot of people because we're absolute at the max and full. So I'm excited to see that everybody else is excited for sure, and the demand is there for sure.
Hey, that's a pretty good place to be in, isn't it?
Man, it's a great place to be in. I mean, it's a great problem to have.
And so with that, how is it going to work? I know that it's taking place at the park there. Do you guys, are people going to have to buy tickets to get in? And are you restricting how many people are allowed to come in at one time?
Yeah, so it is ticketed, which you can find those on the homepage of our website, beatsxbeers.com. You can find the tickets right there. So yeah, it's a different DJ on the hour, just every hour. There's plenty of food vendors. We tried to make sure we diversified it, so not one food vendor is selling the same food. So there's plenty of variety. We're definitely following all COVID guidelines and restrictions. We'll have plenty of sanitizing stations and just limiting the amount of people that can come in as well, and reviewing those guidelines as they constantly change. Like it's every week they're getting updated, and we also have a vaccination station as well. So if you choose to, that will be available as well.
And I will say, going forward, like I was at the farmers market over the weekend, I was thinking this is a great place to do a vaccination statement, or vaccination station to try to reach more people, to make it more convenient. So it's great that you're adding that as well. And so how is that going to work? Because the guidelines do continue to change. So with people that are vaccinated, will they be allowed to attend without a mask?
Yes. As of now, that is, the rule that, I mean, if you're fully vaccinated, that you don't have to wear a mask. I know a lot of people still like to wear them just to be cautious, and that's completely fine. And like I said, we'll have the vaccine actually there if you choose to, do so. It isn't, a complicated process or anything like that. We just want to make sure that we're coming back to the scene, just taking all the precautions that we possibly can.
We're talking with Brandon Quarter. He's the founder for Beats Times Barbecue. The event's coming up Memorial Day weekend here in the city of Flint. And with that too, I'm thinking about like your signage, when you got signage made, but then all of these rules and regulations change. Did you scratch your head?
Yeah, luckily, we have a lot of signage that we had previously already. So now going into this week, now we know specifically like what the rules aren't going to change in the next couple of days. So now we just had to do everything just closer to the date, and and not try to do things that's too far out or whatever the case is. But now we have a pretty good hold on what everything is going to be.
And with that, Brandon, can I ask you, who are some of the performers? What type of music?
So there's going to be a variety of music, and I chose to put the focus on just strictly DJs. And so we have a lot of the local popular DJs. We have Peter McFray. He's from Club 93.7, which is a popular station in the area. Some of our classic DJs are DJ Hype, DJ Handles, and that's just to name a few or whatever. But yeah, there'll be a variety for everybody, all ages. Is a completely family event on Sunday. All ages. We have some dance teams that'll be coming out dancing. And it'll be just a completely family-oriented event.
And with that too, I know that it's, barbecue is in the name, but you also wonder about the people today that are maybe vegan.
Yeah.
will there be something for them to enjoy?
Yeah, there'll
as
be
well?
some vegetarian and vegan options. We have this amazing grilled pizza that will be there. So, if you're a vegetarian, that still has cheese, and if you're a vegan, I'm pretty sure you can get it without the cheese aspect. And there's also an Indian food truck goes by Nonstop. They also have some vegan and vegetarian options as well. So we try to cover all bases here.
So don't be turned off by the name if you don't like barbecue. Although I'm like,
you can have
in
vegan
summer.
barbecue. Yeah, you can have vegan, vegetarian barbecue. So.
But there is just something about summer and barbecue, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And fingers crossed the weather cooperates, because the forecast not exactly the best this weekend.
Yeah, it's not exactly the best. I mean, it keeps changing every time I look at it. I hope it's still the same. I've seen sun at least on Saturday and Sunday. I'm hoping it can just pause right there and that be that. I've seen some rain on Friday, but you never know. It's Michigan.
That is so true. Brandon Corder with us here on the Megacast. And how much are the tickets, Brandon?
So there's a couple of different options. For Beats and Barbecue itself, it's $10, and it's completely free for kids under 12. So that's just to cover Beats and Barbecue. We have an all-day pass, which covers Beats and Barbecue and the after event, the after party, as we call it. And that all-day pass is $25. Or there's another ticket that just for the after event, that's $20 itself. So there's a couple different options.
And so with that, we talked to so many people about silver linings that they've experienced throughout the pandemic. Any for you, or has this been a year that you hope to never repeat and forget?
Yeah, this is a year that I just never want to repeat again. It's definitely been a good learning experience. I mean, I definitely had to pivot, in a lot of ways. It definitely made me think pretty creatively. So there's a lot of different things. I mean, there was a lot of good things that ended up coming out of it, out of the storm anyway. So, but I don't want to go back down that road again.
I think we all could pretty much agree with you on that one. But do you anticipate that it's going to be pretty busy, because so many people are just eager to get out and get back into life?
Yes, it's going to be pretty busy. We're already planning for it to be, pretty busy, and we're already planning to just limit things, how we can limit them and take all the precautions that we can take.
How are ticket sales so far?
Ticket sales are great, and especially considering here in, city of Flint and just Michigan overall, people usually don't buy too far in advance. It's like a day or two before you'll start to see a skyrocket. But we've had a lot of ticket sales going just like weeks and weeks in advance. So that already tells me what it's going to be like, over the next couple of days or so.
So what else do you have going on in the future? Any other plans or events coming up in the summer?
Yes, we're working on plenty of things, especially like for the summer, while we can do like outside things until, the inside people are more comfortable being inside. But we're definitely planning something for July, August. Like we're all the way full throttle now. So
you're ready to go.
Yes, 100%.
Brandon Corder with us here on the Megacast. He's the founder for Beats and Barbecue. Again, Brandon, anything maybe I didn't touch on that you want to add before we say goodbye to you?
No, I think we touched on everything. Tickets and RSVPs or whatever for the many different events that'll happen this weekend. You can find it all on our website at beatsxbeers.com. And any other information should be there as well.
And when we talk about the beer portion as well, craft beer or just various vendors?
Various vendors. So there'll be at the actual Beats and Barbecue, there'll be drinks served by Zolo, which is a popular restaurant downtown, but they'll be handling all of that.
That's good. I will say some of these craft beers here in Michigan, they're intimidating to me.
Really? Why is that?
You know, it used to be, I'd be intimidated going to pick out a bottle of wine to take, like to a dinner party or something.
Yeah.
Now, when they say just bring beer, and you're like, oh, you can't just do Bud Light, Lime.
Exactly.
No, it's
exactly. It's so many, like, in different kinds, and then real beer connoisseurs have like their favorites, and it's a lot.
Yeah, beer snobs amongst us.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, Brandon, we wish you the best of luck with the event, and fingers crossed the weather does cooperate.
Yes.
Well, we thank you for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We'll take a quick break here on the Megacast, and when we come back, we will be talking to the owner of Modern Skate and Surf. That's next here on the Megacast.
Over a decade ago, the journey to a COVID vaccine began. Building upon research on other coronaviruses, scientists continued with months of research and development, 3 phases of clinical trials with tens of thousands of diverse volunteers, then peer review and authorization to deliver a safe and effective vaccine that will protect all of us. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful, because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
We want to say thank you for taking time out of your day here on this Monday to be with us here on the Megacast. As a reminder, Tyler and I are here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon live. You can catch us on Civic Center TV, Birmingham area municipal access. If you have cable, thank you. A portion of your fee helps support programming such as this. You'll find us on Channel 15 on Comcast 99, on AT&T. To make it easy for you, you can also listen to us on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff, or easier yet, just follow us on Facebook, where we are live streaming today's edition of the show. Joining us now on the Megacast, let's bring in George Likewise. He's the owner of Modern Skate and Surf. How have you been doing in your business over this past year?
Well, it's been a real challenge, to be honest with you. We just got over 2008 crash. It took probably almost 8 years to get over, and started seeing an uptick in 2018, 19. So 2020 was going to be my year, man. It was going to be a good year. Started off pretty good January, February. Everything was ticking up, and then boom, March came along, and you got to close down. So it became a huge challenge. We were closed for over 3 months, and if we would have been close to the end of the year, I would have lost the building and the business and everything. However, we were lucky enough to get open in the summertime and reopened partially, and was able to save the business and borrow a bunch of money from the government and continue on.
Well, and let's hope too, though, that going forward, because we do know that as we're emerging into 2021, so many people are now eager to get out and to, enjoy some of the things that we used to take for granted. So do you anticipate it's going to at least maybe be a busy summer for you?
I believe so. What happened last year, once we got reopened, luckily, I kept an eye on what the governor said every other month. And when she came out and she opened golf courses up, at the end of the day, I had to go read her speech, and I was looking for my loophole, and it said, and bike repair shops. And I sell electric bikes, and I'm like, I repair them. So I'm a bike repair shop. I'm opening. And obviously I sell skateboards and rollerblades and roller skates and scooters and things like that. But I also sell bikes, and that was my loophole to get open with limited number of customers. And we got back open, and then within a month the internet took off, and I was selling stuff all over the country because everybody wanted to have fun, and I sell fun, and people were bored with walking around the block, so they're like, I want to roller skate again, and I want to rollerblade, and it just kind of went off for a minute online for a couple of months. And then we started opening up the state a little bit more, and we rolled into fall and holiday, and the governor canceled all high school sports. So there was no soccer, no hockey, no basketball, baseball, football. So what can you do? We have a very large indoor skate park here. It's the third largest indoor skate park in America. It's over 60,000 square feet. So over an acre of ramps indoor. And the building's actually so big, it's in both Royal Oak and Madison Heights. And so we were able to accommodate a decent number of people, of course, limited by the state. Each month it changed, and gave them some recreational activity that they could do indoors on bad weather days. And then, of course, you can use a lot of that equipment outside.
Yeah, and that's a good combination right there. I will say, George, I love your line. I sell fun.
Yes, and people want to have fun now. And I think it's going to carry over to this summer, because it was a worldwide phenomena with roller skates and rollerblades, and that people wanted to get back outside again and do something active, and they weren't allowed to do any team sports. So, and a lot of families wanted to do things with their kids, and all the kids like to roller skate and rollerblade and skateboard and those things. So the parents were getting together with their families, which I thought was a great byproduct of the pandemic. Was families were working together and playing together, and it kind of brought the families back together a bit.
I do like that. With us right now on the Megacast, George, likewise, he's the owner of Modern Skate and Surf. And sometimes too, when you talk about inline skating, we think rollerblades, and they were so popular, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
Has the pandemic brought some of those old school sports kind of back to make them popular again?
It absolutely has, and it's a pleasant surprise to me, because I was the third store in the world ever to sell rollerblade back in 1980. I've been in business since '79, and I was a hockey player from Detroit, and this guy had these hockey-looking skates with wheels on them, and I strapped them on, skated around a bit. I bought 24 pair in 1980. Sold them to the East Lansing High hockey team. They went 45-3, almost won the state championship because they were in better shape than everybody. And then it became family fun and fitness. And the 90s were good to me because we sold tons and tons of rollerblades, like you said, 20 years ago or so. And what's happened is those kids from the 90s are now parents of kids, and they want to show their kids how good they used to be, So they were coming back in and getting another pair of blades with their kids and stuff like that. And it was kind of fun to see. And then somebody was on TikTok roller skating on some suede roller skates, and boom, all of a sudden every female in America wanted to roller skate again. And we've been selling roller skates since day one, because Detroit's a big roller skate town. And when I started, there was over 35 roller rinks in the whole Detroit metropolitan area. Now there's about 15 or so, and still, there's a real active roller skate community, and that's good exercise, indoor or outdoor. And there's been a resurgence of both, and I believe in all these things. We teach rollerblading, roller skating, skateboarding, scootering, all those things. We teach it all here so people can do it safely, and we just believe it in as a good exercise for people.
I do remember my husband has a skateboard, and I think he fell off like years before I met him, and then he got injured, so it kind of sat in the garage. And then when we got a Cocker Spaniel to tire the dog out, he would have her pull him around the neighborhood. Nice. And now we have another rescue dog, and she's a huge, like 70-pound, like lab mix, and that dog is like, I'm not pulling you anywhere. She just sits like, no, not going down that road with you. So it is fun to kind of see these old school events kind of come back once again. But George, if I can ask you, you mentioned electric bikes. We live on the West Bloomfield Trail, and I've been seeing more and more of those.
Yes. Now it's funny because I'm older now, of course, and I had my knee replaced and went through that whole situation. And I was visiting a former manager of mine out in Newport Beach, California. And he says, you want to go for a bike ride? And I'm like, I don't think I can ride a bike, because I was only 4.5 months out. And he says, no, I got these electric bikes. And I was able to ride up and down hills and everything with pedal assist, or with the triggering it, and still doing some pedaling. And originally I thought, electric bikes, that's for lazy people. And I'm like, no, it got me back on a bike, and then I've actually sold some to some elderly couples that used to ride bikes all the time together. And the one guy's wife got sick and couldn't keep up with him anymore. And he got her an electric bike. He still rides his regular bike, and she can keep up with him now, because anytime she needs a little assistance, it works for her. So I find it as a way to get more people back on bikes and get some more exercise.
I do like that. How does it work though? Do you plug it in and charge it?
Yeah, you charge it each day. You pretty much, you can ride it at night. It'll go 35 miles without a charge, without having to recharge it if you just trigger it. But if you pedal assist or just pedal, sometimes it'll go much further than that. And I've gone on the slow roll downtown Detroit with it. And actually, a little tip is you park at the MGM casino, because it's free parking. You ride your bike all the way down to Eastern Market. Go on the slow roll, which is a pretty long run with police escort, and then rode the Riverwalk all the way back to MGM, and still had 3 out of 5 bars of electricity, battery power on that thing, and they're actually very functional. You can actually just regularly pedal it like a regular bike, or you can do what they call pedal assist, where you got gears 1 through 5, and as you pedal, it'll actually help move you along. And then, or you could just pull the trigger and actually ride it like an electric vehicle. So it's and they're kind of expensive, but then again, I've got some BMX bike riders that come in this park with $4,000 bikes. So these bikes are started about $1,700 and go to $3,000 or so. But they're a great way to get people back on bicycles and do some exercise.
So with that, I remember last year around this time, you couldn't find a bike. They were sold out everywhere. So do you anticipate all those people that bought their bikes last year, are they tired of them, or is that going to continue into the summer?
No, I think we're going to have another good year. I had people driving up from Cleveland to buy bikes from me, and because they couldn't find them, and I think there's still a shortage of all these products that I sell. The biggest struggle I have is to get enough product in for the people that want it and satisfy them. The governor opened up roller rinks about 6 weeks ago, and they've been closed literally for a year. And so all of a sudden people are coming out of the woodwork to skate indoors, and that's been a big business. But getting enough product in for the people that want it has been a challenge. Same with the bikes. From what I understand, hunting, camping, fishing equipment, that kind of stuff has been sold out because everybody wants to get outside and get some fresh air. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a phenomena, and And what I found is that in every category, I have one manager, his whole job is to find product because the whole supply chain in the United States has been stopped at one point in time in the last year. And so there's things being made, but then you got to get it here and go through customs and deal with the COVID protocols and all that to get product in your store. But it's really picked up, and I think it's going to be another good year.
Yeah, the supply chain has been really crazy over the past year. George, likewise with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Modern Skate and Surf. And with that, tell us more about your skate park. It's open right now?
It is open. Last summer, we were limited originally to 10 people, and then it went to 20. Then it went to 50, then it went to 250, and then it went back down to 50. Now we're at I think we're at 300 with the size of the place we got. Now we allowed 300. And we generally don't get 300 people, maybe in the wintertime or for special events, which I have not done a special event in over a year and a half now. And we're hoping that we can open up and start doing some special event things in here where we can draw a bigger crowd, because we've had international audiences come here, and we've had qualifiers for the X Games. We've had big national and international contests. We had the Scooter World Championships here. We've done a lot of big events because it is a huge place and it can accommodate a lot of people.
And so with that too, though, we know in Detroit, they've been opening up some of these outdoor skate parks. Does that help attract people to the sport?
It does. And as a matter of fact, I've been involved in opening at least a dozen public skate parks. And because I think you should be able to skate for free, just like you can play basketball or tennis. But if you want to come indoor in the wintertime and have a roof over your head and some lights on and some heat, it costs a couple of bucks, but we try to make it reasonable. But the public parks, what it does is it gives more accessibility to a lot of different people in different areas of town. Not everybody can make it across town to get to this place, for example. And they've got a lot of good things going on in downtown Detroit. I know the Tony Hawk Foundation and Tony Hawk himself has been very involved and with myself in building some public skate parks in Detroit.
I love that because it really is a community, isn't it?
It is, and you know it's going to actually be in the Olympics this year for the first time in Japan, and I think you're going to find that people are going to gravitate to that sport, because the beauty of skateboarding is you don't need a team of 9 or 10 people like baseball or 11 people like football, 5 in basketball. You can play one-on-one in basketball, but you can actually skate by yourself, or you can skate with your friends. You can go to contests if you like contests. You can go to the demo if you don't like contests. And there's a lot of versatility to it. And it teaches you a lot of things about yourself. It'll teach you perseverance, because you have to fail many times in order to succeed on learning that trick, which I think your husband found out way back when. And, you know, and then you have to pick yourself up and dust yourself off, and it teaches you perseverance. So all these quote unquote extreme sports are very educational for your own personal well-being, and actually creates a good adult as they continue to grow.
Well, we so appreciate having you with us. I will say there's a fear factor involved in some of these sports, so it's about facing your fear as well. George, likewise with us, he's the owner of Modern Skate and Surf. We want to go ahead and try to take the governor real quick, but George, where are you located again?
We are in the Royal Oak and Madison Heights, right at basically 12 Mile and I-75. We're on Stevenson Highway, just south of 12 Mile. It's got a Royal Oak address, but you can find us at modernskate.com. I'll tell you about our history and all the different things we offer. It's certainly a labor of love on my part of it. It's a big place, costs a lot of money to be here. I've been through a lot of ups and downs, but I just love the look on a kid's face when they learn a new trick and they just feel a sense of accomplishment, and it's definitely worth being around here.
Well, we're happy that you have survived the pandemic, and we wish you continued success. Again, George, likewise with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Modern Skate and Surf. We want to go ahead and go to the governor right now. She is holding a press conference. We'll join her in progress, talking about the MIOSHA updates. Let's go to the governor right now.
7% of Michiganders. And our recovery is continuing to pick up steam. Our unemployment rate is now 4.9%, which is a full point below the national average. In the past year, unemployment has fallen by nearly 80%, and we've added 968,000 jobs over the last year. We still have work to do, there's no question, and we're still short of where we were prior to the pandemic. Our economic recovery is going well, but we can do a lot more to invest in our families, our small businesses, and communities to help them succeed. Michigan and America is coming back, and we're going to come back stronger than ever. Last Thursday, I announced steps that we are taking to emerge from the pandemic. On June 1, all outdoor capacity limits and the curfew on bars and restaurants will be lifted. Indoor capacity will be raised to 50% for all indoor spaces, including stadiums, funeral homes, and wedding venues, among other things. Vaccinated people will no longer need to wear a mask in public, whether you're indoors or outdoors. And unvaccinated Michiganders will continue to need to wear a mask when they are indoors. If a business requires masking for everyone who's entering, we need to recognize they have the authority to do that and to support them and abide by that. On July 1, the indoor capacity limit and broad gatherings and mask orders will be lifted. Now, I'm excited about this. I know we're all excited to spend time this summer with our families and friends and get back to the things that we love doing. Long dinners, bonfires by the lake, maybe even taking in a concert with friends. And we can enjoy the occasions and ceremonies that we had to forego last year, celebrating birthdays and graduations, family reunions, and weddings together. The reason we can take these steps is because the people of our state stepped up and took this moment seriously and kept themselves and their families and their communities safe. And I want to thank the people of our state for getting vaccinated and socially distancing and masking up when that was so important to do. The safe, effective vaccines are the main reason that we are in this moment and emerging from this pandemic. The CDC's updated mask guidance that was announced 2 weeks ago was supported by data that vaccines give us robust protection against infection and serious illness, and that vaccinated people do not pose a significant risk of passing the virus on to others. So, as we have done from the beginning of the pandemic, we're heeding the advice of the best medical experts in the country and listening to the science. In addition to our new COVID guidelines, I am proud to announce today that MIOSHA is taking several steps to help businesses return to normalcy. Back in October of 2020, MIOSHA issued emergency COVID rules laying out specific mitigation measures helping businesses keep patrons and their workforce safe. These emergency rules had an expiration date of October of 2021, meaning they would expire automatically unless formalized into permanent rules. In early 2021, MIOSHA began the process of making some of the emergency rules permanent to continue keeping people safe from COVID. They started the process because they did not know, none of us knew, even a few months ago, how effective these vaccines would be at both bringing down cases and hospitalizations and keeping our cases low. So now, here we are, 5 months later, we know a lot more. We know that vaccines are very effective. And as a result, the CDC updated their guidance to say that vaccinated people no longer need to mask up or socially distance indoors or outdoors unless required by their employer or a business. Michigan has adopted these standards soon after the CDC's announcement, and now MIOSHA is ready to move on to help businesses adjust too. And under our Back to Normal plan, thanks to Michiganders who got their shots, all employees can return to work in person effective today. Now, let's remember, many companies have phased in return to work, but the law no longer requires remote work. I want to thank the employers who are taking this seriously and working with their employees to navigate things like child care and the work-life balance and ongoing personal health concerns. There are incredible employers across our state who are working to make sure we make these workplaces energizing and safe for all. As for emergency rules that are still in effect through October 21, MIOSHA has updated them and effective today to integrate the CDC's latest guidelines so that under these revised emergency rules, employers can now allow fully vaccinated employees to work normally without masks or distancing requirements. The cleaning and sanitization requirements have been softened accordingly, and industry-specific requirements have been eliminated. And that means, for example, that restaurants and bars can choose to reopen common areas like pool tables and dance floors. Employers are still required to have a written COVID-19 preparedness and response plan that ensures compliance with the CDC guidance so that workers can come to work with confidence that they are going to be safe. These new rules are the result of so many productive conversations between business owners, labor, workers, medical experts, including MIOSHA, Back to Office Work Group, and they've done incredible work over the past few months. We expect President Biden, OSHA, through President Biden, OSHA, to offer their own guidelines that incorporate lessons learned from COVID, and we will look to integrate their recommendations into MIOSHA when that becomes finalized. In the meantime, these slimmed-down emergency rules will ensure Michigan workers feel safe at work, and our shared prosperity depends on the confidence and safety of our workers, and that's why it's so important we get this right. Together, we are eliminating the once-in-a-century virus, and now we're poised to jumpstart our economy and power it up to new highs. We have a lot of work to do, but I know that we are up to it. Last week, Republican leaders in the legislature and I announced a bipartisan agreement to work together to pass a budget and invest federal funds available to Michigan into our schools and small businesses and communities. Currently, we still have money that was sent to us by the Trump administration at the end of last year. We have billions headed our way from the Biden administration and the American Rescue Plan, including $5.7 billion to the state, $4.4 billion to local governments, and $3.9 billion to our schools. And we have a state budget to pass that has been bolstered by higher than expected revenues. In fact, we went from a $3 billion projected deficit to a $3.5 billion surplus. Now, there's no denying that Michigan's had a hard year, but we've had some incredibly good news recently, from the reemergence of our ability to go back to work, to this good news on our budget front, which is a reflection of how seriously our people took this pandemic, the management through the pandemic, and of course, consumer confidence because of both those things. So I know that after all the sacrifice and pain that people have felt and business has felt from March 2020, we are now ready to get back and ready to take Michigan to the next level. So we've been tested and we are tough. And as I often say, tough times don't last, but tough people do. Michigan is bursting at the seams with possibility. It's our job in state government to harness the boundless energy of our people, our businesses, and our communities, and channel it into big projects, bold initiatives, and of course, fundamentals that put us on a path to prosperity. Together, thanks to the millions of Michiganders who've gotten vaccinated and to those on the front lines of this pandemic, we're going to make sure that Michigan emerges from this pandemic stronger than ever. With the resources we have, we can make lasting, transformative investments in our future. We can create tens of thousands of good-paying jobs. We can build up our crumbling infrastructure, support our kids in schools, and get back to a new normal, a stronger, more resilient state. So I say let's get it done. Soon we'll have the Independence Day and summer that we all crave, and that is all good news. With that, I will hand it over to Susan Corbin, the Director of Labor and Economic Opportunity.
Thank you, Governor. First, I just want to thank Steelcase for their contribution to the task force that the Governor mentioned, and loaning Hannah Nalter from their staff to us to put some work into that return to office task force that's available on our website. Since the first COVID outbreak in our state last year, the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity and MIOSHA have been at the front lines of the effort to keep workers safe from COVID. The MIOSHA emergency rules have not only protected employees and given them confidence that their workplace was as safe as possible, the rules also gave employers the clear guidance they needed to protect their workers. Today, we know that the single best way for everyone to protect themselves, their employees, employees or their coworkers from COVID is to get vaccinated. And thanks to the strong leadership of Governor Whitmer, we've made enormous progress in getting our vaccination rates up. Because of the progress all of us together have made, I'm thrilled to announce that we are updating our MIOSHA emergency rules so that they reflect the latest health guidance and allow employers to consider relaxing face covering and social distancing requirements for fully vaccinated employees. We believe that employers want to do the right thing for their employees. Throughout the pandemic, MIOSHA has focused on providing employers with the resources they need to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, providing education and assistance to employers so that they can do things the right way is a far more effective way to protect workers than citing employers after they have gotten things wrong. That's why MIOSHA has been focused on education and outreach to business groups and employers, has provided over $6 million in safety grants, and performed free consultations at over 4,000 workplaces. The new rules effective today are clear and consistent and bring regulatory certainty for employers while reflecting updated public health guidance. The MIOSHA rules are minimum standards. Some employers may want to keep mask rules in place a little bit longer to protect their employees or their customers, and that's okay. And we know that many employers plan to keep remote work in place a little bit longer, and that's okay too. We know that many workers are still nervous about coming back to work. We all have family, friends, and coworkers that haven't been able to get vaccinated yet and have underlying health conditions that make them more susceptible to infection, even if they are vaccinated. We've got to do everything we can to protect these people. While we continue to see increasing vaccination rates across Michigan, we encourage employers to understand what's happening in their community, because not every region or every workplace is as far along with vaccinations as we'd like. Finally, for all those employees that continue to be concerned about COVID-19 in their workplace, the best mitigation tool is vaccination. The rules do help reduce the likelihood of transmission, but to keep yourself safe, your coworkers safe, and our families safe, please get that shot. The Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity will remain committed to doing everything we can to keep Michigan workers, customers, and communities safe, and we'll also make sure we're doing everything we can to get our state back to work. Now I'd like to turn it over to Andy, the Vice President for Governmental Affairs with the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce. And I also want to thank the Grand Rapids Chamber for all of the guidance and thoughts in terms of how this is impacting their members during this past year.
Thank you, Susan. And yeah, I want to share my thanks to Acting Director Susan Corbin and her department for keeping the business community updated on a weekly basis during a very ongoing and ever-changing situation. And we truly appreciate the opportunity to provide input on behalf of the business community. I am Andy Johnston, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Grand Rapids Chamber. I appreciate the opportunity to be here on a really exciting day. It's a big day for business in Michigan after what's been an extremely uncertain and difficult time. It's exciting that Michigan has reached this point that feels like we're moving out of this pandemic and returning to a sense of normalcy where our job creators, our entrepreneurs, and our employees can begin to fully restart and engage every sector of the economy. We're pleased that Governor Whitmer and MIOSHA have moved forward in lifting the permanent rules that were being proposed and updating the current emergency rules to create guidance and that's going to be certain and also have flexibility that's needed for worker safety as we continue to learn from new data. This added level of clarity is going to allow us to be competitive and puts us on track for a prosperous recovery. We know our Grand Rapids Chamber members and businesses across Michigan.
That from Governor Whitmer's press conference today announcing new MIOSHA rules regarding workplace safety regulations due to COVID-19. All that will be available. You'll be able to see what the governor had to say later on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast, and when we come back, one last interview for the day. We'll be speaking to the West Bloomfield School District, Dr. Gerald Hill, next on the Megacast.
Finally, I just got my COVID-19 vaccine.
I registered with my local health department and they called me.
I got mine at the pharmacy, and my neighbor got hers from the hospital.
I'm not a techie person, so I called the COVID hotline, and they helped me schedule an appointment.
Get vaccinated with the first vaccine you can. Protect us all.
Learn more at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Great to have you with us here on the Megacast. Just about 10 minutes left here in the show. Again, the governor just updating the state on the new MIOSHA rules, which basically said they are going to relax the requirement of social distancing, as well as allowing people that are fully vaccinated in the workplace. They no longer have to wear a face mask. I was just on the website for MIOSHA. The new rules are not posted as of yet, but we'll continue to watch them because there are a lot of questions surrounding this issue as well. In the meantime, let's bring in Dr. Gerald Hill, the superintendent for the West Bloomfield School District. It's been a while since we talked to you. How are you doing, Superintendent?
Hi, Ronnie. I'm doing great. We're wrapping up the school year, and I'm glad we're wrapping up the school year because of these ever-changing requirements. It causes us to do a lot of pivoting. I feel like I'm in a basketball game and pivot right, pivot left. Been doing a little traveling, meaning violating the rules, I guess, but you know, it's hard.
This year, I am telling you, has really been like none other, and we don't want to repeat it. But I think that your school district has done a great job of trying to navigate this crazy world. I know a lot of parents have been frustrated, a lot of teachers, and so many of the administrators as well. But as we're about to round out the school year, what do these latest rules and regulations mean to you and the staff members and the students?
Well, first of all, I think there's a hopefulness to it. As we wrap up this school year, we're keeping all of our mitigation protocols in place because we don't have that long of time left in school, and most of our students have not been vaccinated, so there's still the concern with the student body. But looking forward to next year, even into summer school, we can perhaps have more normal, if you will, approach. I know next year we're planning a full week of school, no hybrid learning kind of plans. We still will have the option for Lakers Online for families that works better for. But right now we have about between 350 and 400 students signed up for Lakers Online. The rest of our students are planning to be back. Our staff, I believe, is pretty much fully vaccinated. We don't keep that data, but I feel they've had the opportunity to be vaccinated, so we can move forward with that thought in mind. The biggest challenge, Ronnie, all year has been how can we keep our students learning and growing? And we're looking at our data, we're looking at the results, we're talking to students and making sure that they're not only safe and healthy, but thriving. And that's been a challenge for teachers, been a challenge for parents. But our data is showing pretty good results, and we'll be sharing that with our Board of Education on June the 7th across the board in terms of looking at different data and what the impact has been from how we see it, and moving into next year what we can do better. So.
And with that, Dr. Hill, it's so confusing right now when we're talking about vaccinated versus not vaccinated, requiring vaccinations, not requiring them, or even requiring proof of vaccination. How do you even approach this topic as the superintendent of a major school district?
Well, first of all, yeah, the requiring, we're not even having that discussion because we don't require our staff to have vaccinations. I don't even believe, like Henry Ford Hospital or most hospitals, I don't think it's a requirement, it's a recommendation. And we have that same recommendation for our staff. We do know that most people took advantage of it, but there are several factors that play into that. And so an employee has to make that decision between themselves, their medical advice they get from their doctors, et cetera. In terms of navigating it, I don't want to be in a position of being a vaccination policeman, if you will. So we need to have a good mitigation practices in place. We're going to be offering clinics at our school. I believe we have one coming up the first week in June. There'll be information on it. I think it's June the 2nd or 3rd. I don't know the exact date right now, but we're finalizing that this week, and we'll put it on our website, and that'll be held at West Bloomfield Middle School, which is the current Abbott Middle School, and it'll be for ages 12 and up. And then we are also exploring another clinic to offer at West Bloomfield High School between now and the end of June. So we have the health department sponsoring one of those, and we're working with Henry Ford Health Systems on the other. So we want to be as accommodating as possible without being mandatory or dictatorial about it.
So with that, as the end of the school year approaches, so much focus right now for the seniors, prom, graduation. What are those ceremonies looking like this year?
Well, we're waiting for that report that we just heard that's coming today, that MIOSHA report, to make some final determinations on the graduation. I know Mr. Pace, the principal at West Bloomfield High School, he has a plan. He's pivoted 2 or 3 times on his plan, and that report may entail another pivot. We will see what it says in the report with the relaxation of face masks for vaccinated individuals, and we're planning to have it outdoors at the high school on the football field. So we might be able to accommodate more people than originally thought. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Prom is post-graduate. The students will graduate June the 6th, I believe it is, a Sunday, and prom will be the following week. So it's post. They're alumni already. So we're working through the logistics of the prom. There's a student planning committee, and they're working with Mr. Pace at the high school. And I believe ticket sales are already going on. So it'll be as normal a prom as one can have in these conditions. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
At least they have something, Dr. Gerald Hill with us here on the Megacast, Superintendent for the West Bloomfield School District. And again, our apologies for coming to you a little bit late, just another couple minutes with you. And as we go into the summer season, summer school, do you still call it summer school? How's that looking this year?
We have a rich array of opportunities for students, and we have traditional summer school, and we have some credit recovery. We have some more summer adventures, if you will, and they're going to be doing a lot. K through 12, we're going to have programming for kindergarten through 12 students, and there'll be a lot of enrichment, a lot of remediation, if you will, credit recovery. It'll be a combination of factors. And I need to commend our teaching and learning staff for putting that together. I know you've had Amy Quinn on your show before. She's been instrumental in working through it. And we are signing people up as we speak for summer opportunities for continuing to learn. People talk about learning gap or learning loss, and kids have been learning all year. Our data shows that they've been learning, and I think we have a lot of unfinished learning that we need to address. There's a report that just came out last week. It's called the Michigan Blueprint for Comprehensive Student Recovery, put out by the governor's office, and a whole lot of real creative thinkers put this report together, and we will be we have been analyzing, reading that report, and summer school is a big factor in terms of helping students complete some of the unfinished learning. But that report that I just referenced, the Michigan Blueprint, we'll use that as the basis for our upcoming strategic planning that we're also starting in August. And the strategic planning will take into consideration the recommendations from that Michigan Blueprint. So we've got a lot of work before us, but I'm confident with our staff, the creativity, the innovative thinking, the dedication that they have towards students, we will come up with a real good approach to continuing the learning for all of our students.
So with that, just about another minute before we have to say goodbye, latest updates for the parents that you want them to know and the students.
First of all, a big thank you, a huge thank you to all the families for working with us, for working with their boys and girls and young adults. It's not been easy for anybody. And without the support and feedback from families, we've been getting a lot of feedback. I'm positive feedback, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, but very respectful in the dialogue that we've had with our community, and I need to thank them. Also, the students have been remarkable in terms of their resilience that they've shown all year, and that wouldn't be possible if we didn't have the teaching staff that we do, and they've been bending over backwards and trying to make sure that we offer the most dynamic teaching and learning program as possible. Like you said when we started this interview, I wouldn't want to repeat this year. We've learned a lot from it, a tremendous amount, but what we've learned is if we work together as teams, parents, teachers, students, school board, community members, we can do whatever needs to be done to help students learn and grow. I just wish the legislature, and maybe there's some hope on that. I've been reading more recently that they've reached an agreement. The governor and the GOP and the Democrats are going to be working together on putting together a solid budget. And following the revenue conference that just took place last week, looks like there will be money available to do some more creative things at the state level as well. So we'll continue to work with our area legislators and crafting a budget that's beneficial to all students.
Well, it's great to see them getting along and starting to work together, just as so many members of your team and the parents and the students have had to do so again this year. Dr. Gerald Hill, always great having you with us. We've appreciated your time throughout this pandemic. Superintendent for the West Bloomfield School District. We're sorry we're out of time, but we'll have you on again soon. That's going to wrap it up for the Monday edition of the Megacast.